So Chronic, you've been doing this for a while. For those that aren't familiar with your channel, you describing what Chronic, the channel, the community is all about and what they can expect if they were to go check out your content.
I mean, if I had to give like the elevator pitch of what the channel is, it's a community first channel for number one, before anything else. And I've been like that since day one. I'm a gamer. I like playing video games, so that's usually what we're doing. But it's not the only thing we do, and we don't usually 100% of the time stick to one game. Now that I've been around the block a little bit and we've built a community, because I've always prioritized community over like hardcore gaming or like tunnel vision and ignoring chat, which is totally like, I get it. Some streamers want to pride themselves on just playing 100% while streaming. To me, I'll gladly throw a game. Quiet to the people here who know me. I'll gladly throw a game to read chat and to interact with who's there spending their time with me, because at the end of the day, people are hanging out with you, and with the fellow people that coming in and make up the community that are hanging out in chat. Everybody's there for the community feel. I've always wanted to have that be the center of my stream, is the community. So with that in mind, the game that I've been playing changes. Like I actually I started out on Star Wars Battlefront 2, which a lot of people know me from that. And then Dead by Daylight and the horror genre is another interest of mine. And we pivoted to that at the beginning of last year. And we've been doing our thing there. But in the middle of all that, we also do community nights. I play other games. I'll jump in Fall Guys or play a horror game, or, you mixed Fortnite back in. Like I'll do whatever. And we also run a charity stream, usually every 3 months, for Games for Love. We've, as a community and as a stream team, have raised nearly $25,000 for kids. So we do a lot. And I can't look anybody in the eye and say all I do is play games, because it's about a lot more than that. So yeah.
What got you started on Twitch in the first place? What was kind of the journey that got you thinking about, hey, streaming is something I might want to do,
COVID.
right?
It's an easy answer. Yeah, COVID happened. I was in the food and beverage industry in New York City for a while. I did everything from bartending all the way up to general manager of a very high end bar restaurant in New York City, and everything in between. That was a lot of my life, but also the reason I was in New York was I got my master's in film and TV, and I was a semi working actor. Booking some stuff here and there, theater, mostly TV here and there. So, that was kind of my life. And then COVID happened and the food and beverage industry plummeted. New York City started to look like a ghost town. And then obviously the film and TV industry also had a big setback with it. So suddenly I just found like the kind of this void in me that I wasn't, doing my normal day job, and also my artistic side, that itch that I have to create, wasn't being itched anymore. And I had always been a Twitch viewer, always watched Twitch streams. I was a big Dr. Disrespect fan, and I always dreamed of going live on Twitch, but never thought it was something that I would have time to do. And then suddenly I found myself with a crap ton of time on my plate, with, an itch to scratch. So I said, screw it. I'm going to just buy the cheapest stuff possible and
Yeah.
just get it going. Got a cheap webcam, got a green screen that only fit around the back of my chair. It's like a $20 green screen from Amazon. Like if I moved my chair a little bit, it would break the immersion. And now today I have one that goes up to the sky. It feels, I just got everything I could just to get started. And I started with one viewer. It was my little brother would hang out with me, and yeah, that was it for a while. And then slowly started to gain traction. And I love Star Wars and I love Battlefront. And Battlefront was a way to connect with the Star Wars community.
Yeah.
So it was about, so right out the gate, it was like when I started growing a bit, and it was a slow, steady growth, which I'm very fortunate it was that way. I didn't know anybody on Twitch. Like I didn't get handed anything. I started with one viewer, and just slowly, month by month, it ticked up. And yeah, I just grew and grew in Star Wars, and it became a medium to talk about Star Wars. I love Star Wars to death, and we still talk about it to this day, even though we don't play Star Wars games. Yeah, kind of found my niche there, and then it kind of like wildfire. It kind of exponentially started growing, and then it led me to where I am now.
What made you decide specifically, like, on your first streams, so you went straight to Battlefront, or did you try other stuff before that?
Yeah, I did play other stuff actually.
Mm,
I think when I had like 3 or less viewers, when it was just like my friends and my brother, it was whatever I felt like. There wasn't like a business mindset out the gate, which I don't think I'm not sure anybody starts out on Twitch and just like has a business plan or
right.
you sure you might have things that you want to do, like goals and stuff. But no, I didn't have like a model that I wanted to do. So no, I was all over the place for a little while, but I wasn't all over the place for a long time because I genuinely loved Battlefront. I played
Mhm.
Battlefront 2015. It's actually Battlefront 2015 is what got me to become a regular Twitch viewer and chatter. That's how I met a couple of my friends. Some people in here might know Mike Naders. I met Mike Naders through Battlefront. I've known him forever now. Long before I streamed, he had been streaming and he was streaming on Battlefront. So yeah, I had known people. I had watched like people play that game. I played it often, and then Battlefront 2 came out around when I started streaming. So I had already been obsessed with the game. I had already been obsessed with Star Wars. So it wasn't like a conscious decision of like I'm gonna main a game now and try to grow quicker or whatever. It was nah. This is the game I'd be playing for 5 hours at night if I have free time anyway. So why would I not do it and talk Star Wars and meet people who like Star Wars in this game that I'm obsessed with? So
Yeah.
yeah, that was it. Yeah, and then I noticed there was a market that people were like, "Hey, there's not a lot of Battlefront people that only play Battlefront," and I was more than happy to be one of the people doing it. And I brought something different into the category, which I thought really helped too. A lot of people, and this is not a knock on this, everybody has their style of streaming, but mostly in Battlefront, it was like your typical, gamer in their bedroom with like, maybe a couple collectibles and they were just like doing their thing. And so I just right away I brought the green screen. Like I told you, it was crappy at the beginning. It was a
Yeah.
little circle on the back of my chair. It was like a makeshift ship that was like a background that I downloaded from somewhere, and I just tried to like make it a little unique. Nothing anywhere near what you see behind me now, but it was different. And something I always tell people who are starting out streaming and want advice, like one of the first things I'll say is be unique and be different. Like, and don't force anything. Find what you like and what makes you happy, and what makes you unique, and embrace that, whatever that is, like whatever you identify that you think is a different flavor that people haven't seen or been exposed to a lot, lean into that. And for me it was production quality and bringing like a backdrop to life, and I think that really helped me out a lot, like that I reinvested into the stream.
When you started formulating your plan of the things that you wanted to do, what was like the most important thing? Was it the green screen? And then once you got the green screen, like what helped you figure out your niche, so to speak, or your vibe for your channel? How did you stumble upon all that?
A lot of people who know me know this. I think Dr. Disrespect, and by the way, I know he's like maybe a little bit of, I don't know why, but a little bit of a polarizing personality, but I a lot from him. Like you know what I did? This is an easy way to put it. I
Yeah.
thought what made me interested? What captivated me as a viewer? What
Yeah.
do I like watching? And I was like, you know what? I like the energy. I like the production quality. I like that it feels like a show when
Mhm.
I watch Dr. Disrespect. I was like, well, why half-ass it? Let's go. Let's get the green screen. Let's get 10 out of 10 energy right when that camera turns on, right when everybody, the opening crowd is there for the stream, the people that are there bright and early. Why not start out 10 out of 10 and keep that energy going? And with that I mixed in, having a community first channel that's always, a positive mental attitude, PMA, we say it all the time. So it was kind of like blending those two things. Let's keep like high energy but keep it positive, and always reinvest back into the stream. So that was always important to me. Like I remember my first and it took me a couple months to even get my first Twitch payout. I don't know if a lot of people might not know this, but you have to hit a certain dollar amount to even get paid out on Twitch. It's
Yeah.
not a lot of money, but it still took me a couple months to get to that. But I remember my first like 3 to 4 Twitch payouts, every single penny, which, like, by the way, I could have used at the time for like IRL stuff. Trust me. I invested all of it right back into the stream. Then I hired one of the best graphic designers out there, did everything you see behind me, plus transitions and all that. And yeah, I just reinvested back in, and the rest, continue to go from there.
You describe that you started with your little brother watching you. Maybe there was two or three people as you were getting started. How did you get through those early moments when you realized, okay, there's only a couple people watching, one of them's my brother? What was your frame of mind from going to almost one to where you are now? Where were you in those early days? How are you approaching the whole thing knowing that you had to build an audience from almost nothing?
I mean, we're talking about something that, like, I was talking about this today. I'm almost 3 years on Twitch, which is I can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
thinking back, I wasn't. I don't think it was until the average started growing that I even thought about, like, okay, like something's happening here. It's time to like roll the sleeves up and treat this like it could be something.
Mhm.
I didn't have that right away. I think right out the gate, I was just happy to have, like, if a new viewer came in that wasn't like a IRL family member or friend,
Right.
like, that was a win, man. Like, if one person came in that I met that just stumbled in my stream through recommended or whatever. And by the way, I still feel this way. Like today I met new people in DVD, and like I'm always excited to meet a new person. I'm like that in real life too. But yeah, no, I think at the beginning it was I was grateful for the people who were there, even when it was like, four viewers, and three of them were from IRL. But in my head, I was like, there's one person in here who I don't even know, who I don't even know right now.
Mhm.
And I think that was something that I leaned into. I was just like grateful for that. And then it wasn't until like maybe if I had to put a number on it, and everybody knows me, I don't care about metrics, viewership, all that.
Right.
If I had to put a number on it though, when I was like, oh, something's happening here, maybe I should treat this a little more professionally and see where it goes, put like actual like work in it. And like I was saying earlier, like reinvest in this. I would say like when I got like 15 average viewers, and then suddenly my brother started showing up less because he has his own life, and my IRL friends started showing up less. They have their own lives. And then I looked around and I'm like, oh, damn, everybody in here are people I met through Twitch. So now now it's just not my friends or brothers being here to like just help me get started. It was, oh, there's like people here who just want to be here with me and want to be doing what we're doing today. That was the moment. That was a very clear moment for me where I was like, they deserved me to put effort into this, and I had the time to do it, so I did it.
When that moment or those moments came to light, how did you look at your stream differently now that you're working with a average viewership that is not just friends and family?
I think right away I knew that I needed to upgrade certain things in the stream. Like I was like, okay, if we're gonna do this right, time to get this cleaned up. So the first thing I was like, all right, let me get like actual emotes. Let me get start looking out for a background designer who can do a nice setup for me. So yeah, no, like I guess when that happened, the first thing I like, as always, I was thinking production quality. I'm like,
Mhm.
what I want a stream that aesthetically looks great, that catches somebody's eye, and shows that I mean business. And that's what I did. And it had to
So,
capture the essence of the stream too. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? It had to fit the identity of our community. So it was tricky, but we did it.
Now that you stream Battlefront less, do you plan on changing some of the background or the aspects of the theming in your stream since Battlefront? I mean, I know you're still a Star Wars fan, obviously,
Mhm.
but how does the switch to something like DBD affect your branding or the theming that you're doing around it?
Not too much. It's not out of like a spite of change. It's because it's part of my identity, and I didn't want to fully get rid of it all. Could I have commissioned my background artist to like do a DBD horror background? Like, yeah, I thought about doing these things. I was like, would it be
Yeah,
cool to
yeah.
have like a campfire in the back and Michael Myers is stabbing somebody? Like, sure, like I could, but then it's like, oh, then what's the identity? Like, I thought about that. I was
Right,
like, well, then what's the identity of this stream? Is it because it's never been about only the game I'm playing? It's about me and it's about the community. We're the Garrison. Like,
right.
this our stream team's called the Garrison. My community's called the Garrison. We're if anybody came into my stream, and it happens all the time now, they might not even know Star Wars, like Star Wars, whatever,
Right.
but they still, I have new people come in. They're like, oh my god, it's a beautiful background. Like, if anything, I just have a beautiful beach behind me. We're the Garrison. We stream from the command center. So, I did think about, yeah, maybe rebranding everything, but then after like thought, and like I said, for no spite of change or
Right.
any other reasons, I was like, no, I like this approach. And if there's new Star Wars games coming out, you bet your ass I'm playing them. So
Yeah.
that was my pledge, that I was always going to have Star Wars be injected in the vein of our community, because that's me as a person. There's not a day goes by I don't think or see or something Star Wars doesn't enter my day. So yeah, we kept the Garrison. I even kept. I could have easily had director deleted off like my starting soon screen, which is the screen you see behind me, our
Yeah.
little AT Walker and stuff. That's a very easy edit. But I'm director might be out of my name, but I'm still the director of the Garrison. And yeah, so we had a slight name change. We had a main game change, but the life and soul of the stream is exactly how it was. And we're inviting new people in now.
That seemed like probably a big decision for you, right? To go from
Oh yeah.
Battlefront to something completely different. How did that whole process come about? What kind of thought went into it, and what ultimately made you pull the trigger on that?
That was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do on Twitch. Like I said, I was fortunate. Okay, so I guess I'll just rewind it a second. This goes back to what we were saying earlier, where the community was built around the community and me. And even though I say all that, there was still a game that was played almost every day.
Right.
So it's like going to a lemonade stand every day, and you wake up the next day and it's a hot chocolate stand. You're
Yep.
like, oh no, I come here for my lemonade. Where's my lemonade? So I knew that, like, so I broke it down in like a business way, which is like, okay, well, that's gonna be jarring. That's gonna be like, to do that cold turkey is very jarring. So what I did, and everybody has their own ways to transition, and hate to say it, some streamers don't rebound sometimes. Like, and I knew that was why it was scary, thinking about playing a different game after only playing mostly one for a while. But I had the confidence that we had a community, that I knew people were there for more than the game. I always had chatters that, say, we're here for you, not the game. And not everybody means that. There are people that said it, and I haven't seen their face since I left Battlefront. But the good news is 95 to 98% who did say it meant it.
Hmm.
So when I transitioned games, I kind of did it in steps. So like I would maybe stream DBD 1 day a week after Battlefront. So it's just like kind of introducing the community to it, introducing myself to streaming it, seeing if because DBD was a game I loved off stream. Towards the end of Battlefront, because that game was obviously dying for a while, it was kind of a rough one to get away from that game at first, because of how like toxic the community was getting. The game was dying. There was a lot of hackers, so it was just a really hard time to play that game. I was like physically and mentally exhausted from playing it and streaming it for like 3 to 4 hours. So DBD was always the game after the fact that I would go to and like kind of wind down with after stream. So, but streaming, it's a whole different thing. So I was like, I wonder how that would be. So I just kind of inched it in. I would stream it at the end of Battlefront, and then slowly every stream it would be half and half, half Battlefront, half DVD. And then before you know it, I had some streams that were all DVD, and then we went all DVD. So
Hmm. I like the gradual transition. You made that a little easier, far more palatable than just going almost like a clean break and then going right into that. How did your community react to the transition from one main game to the next?
of course, here's the crazy thing. At first, it was like where's Battlefront? Like if I was streaming DVD, like somebody maybe might come in later on like the half and half stream and be like, "Hey, Chronic, what happened to Battlefront?" And it was like, all right, well, we're playing this now, and da 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 da. But then there was a pivot, and I know around the time it happened because it was a big deal. There was a point where I was playing Battlefront, and I was getting more comments asking, "Where's DBD?" And that was the moment I said, "I'm done with this game."
You
And
knew.
that was it was literally like I don't even know who said it in chat. There's a couple people who came in and they would pop they popped in. I'd be in the middle of Battlefront, frustrated, dealing with stream snipers, hackers, a bugged game that was on its deathbed. And I had people coming in chat asking where DBD was. And I was like, after that stream, I was like, we're done. We're,
Yeah.
we're, 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 we're taking the full leap now. And I see Zach in chat just said about cozy nights. I totally forgot to say while I was mixing in all these other things, I did kind of a bold thing on Friday nights. I would play story based games, which you might think, oh, that's not a big deal, but it is. When you're playing like a high action multiplayer game all the time,
Oh
you
yeah.
don't know how your community is going to respond to a slow burn story game where you're just like exploring and stuff. So we tried that out and we did that for a long time. And it was I have some of my best memories on Twitch were from those cozy nights. And we started again. We're doing the same thing. We're doing it again, but we're doing it with Red Dead Redemption 2 right now. And some of my favorite moments were from those streams. And I'll tell you right now, those were once again not a big metric guy. I usually only see my numbers after my stream because I don't stream with my view count on or anything. Some of my slowest streams metric wise were the cozy nights, but they were some of my favorite streams I've ever had. And the people who did show up to that, I don't say this lightly. I feel like I have a slightly stronger bond with them because it was such an intimate hangout, and it still is. If you come to the Red Dead streams, it's the same way. And I think that helped build the community too. So when I switched to DBD, people were already kind of used to me playing other stuff, so that
Yeah.
helped too. Yep.
Before the Switch, how long were you streaming Battlefront?
2 years.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah, 2 years on mainly one game.
That's
Yeah.
impressive to go 2 years for that game and then find that you got your community to the point where they were asking about the new game that you were introducing into the mix. That's
Mhm.
that's impressive. And like you said earlier, some people don't come back from that. Some people don't even try to change whether they were a single player or a single game streamer going into variety gaming or just going from one game to another. Some people just don't recover from the change. Their community takes a big hit. So it's I have to commend you for that. Do you have any additional advice for someone who's looking to do something similar at some point?
Sure, but before I say that, I want to piggyback off what you just said
Yeah,
because an example of how jarring it can be. Obviously, not going to mention any names, but there
yeah,
was a partnered streamer on Battlefront 2 who averaged, I think, at their peak, 150 viewers every single stream, 150 ballpark. Some maybe a
right.
little lower, some a little higher. Let's just say 150 was their average most days. They switched games cold turkey. But also, this is the type of person that was like gameplay oriented. It was all gameplay. People were there to watch the one of the best Battlefront 2 technical players around. And once again, that's a style of streaming. But when you do that, you kind of put all your eggs in that basket. And
Yep.
this person switched games cold turkey, and they went down to single digit viewers. So talk about that's the most jarring example I can think of.
That's
And it
huge.
that tariff like, how do you watch something like that and then plan on making a leap yourself and not get terrified?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even though I knew I had a different style of stream and that I had definitely a stronger community, um, you can't see something like that and not be scared like doing it. So yeah, so that does happen. So your question was my advice for somebody who wants to do that, that doesn't want something like that to happen, would be kind of like what I was saying earlier, which is like focus on your personality and your community. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
be somebody who's entertaining to watch. Even if you're trying to be the best player who's playing the game on Twitch, which Honestly, I don't think anybody should try to do that. There's always somebody better than you out there. Like it's okay to want to be better and be cracked at the game. Trust me, I want that too.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between that and trying to be like the best, and you have to put all your concentration into performing at 100% the entire stream. Um, I would say try to split that ratio up and give your chat some attention, and always think back like, am I presenting myself in an entertaining enough way that I would want to watch this stream? Give a little flair, put a little entertainment aspect to it. Everybody turns the dial up, who wants to entertain on Twitch. Gotta like just turn that meter up. You can still be yourself and authentic and turn the dial up a little bit.
Hmm.
And then also give your community the proper attention. And if you do that, people will follow you to other things. Not all of them will. I'm not going to sit here and look everybody in the eye and say, "Oh, if you switch games and you treat your community great, every single person will follow you to something else." No, some
No.
people like shooters, some people like story games. You know what I mean? So you're going to lose some people, but if you build enough of a connection with the human beings that come into your stream, they'll follow you to something else. They will. You
Yeah.
got to put the work in, and you got to actually connect with your audience.
I believe that with most communities or most streamers who build up their community and the people within it, if done right, they're all willing to come with you, whether it's, changing the game that you're playing or even completely switching up the content that you're doing, depending on what you were already doing beforehand. But like you said, making those connections is really absolutely important. You brought this up earlier, the Garrison, which is your stream team. Let's talk about it. Tell me more about the Garrison for those that aren't familiar with your team, and I'd love to just hear more about what's at the core of what the Garrison is and what you're doing with it.
Yeah, so when you make a partner on Twitch, you get to have a stream team if you want. And I had watched other people have a stream team and just try to get every single person in it they could. They're like, oh, more is better kind of approach. They had applications and just invited everybody in, hundreds of people. And I saw firsthand all it did was create drama and stress. And there were so many people that it didn't benefit anybody. And I always like kind of notated in the back of my head if I first of all, it turned me off from stream teams because I was like, I don't like if that's what that is. I'm good. So
Right.
then I was thinking, I was like, no, I don't have to do it like other people do it. I could do it my way. And the way that I decided to do it was ask a handful of friends, content creators that I trust, that I know, that I've known personally, as well as, just obviously on the Twitch front, but most of them I have some kind of personal connection with. And they vary a bunch, like a multitude of categories. It's not like I did, oh, my stream team. So it's all DBD players or all Battlefront 2 player. Like, no, there's,
Right.
there's some of the Lego guys in there and
Yep.
people who just do, have played games that I've never even played before. But I only wanted to ask a few people. I wanted it to be small, tight knit, and people that I trust and that I knew for a while. And to this day, that's what I've done. And, I've had the stream team it's crazy to say, for almost 2 years now, and we've only added I think like 10 people since the creation of it. So I'm very 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 picky, and not and in some kind of like entitlement or like that aspect, it's picky because I don't want it to be a big team, and I need to know the people for a while. I need to see them in my stream. I need to see them maybe around the community streams. So I know that they actually want to be in the community and they're actually invested in everybody's, content and who's there. So once I see that, I guess like once or twice a year, I might tap a couple people and invite them in. And things what we do with the stream team, we've done a charity event where everybody on the team or most people were streaming for a charity, and the one we chose is Games for Love, which brings the joy of gaming to children's hospitals all over. It's my favorite charity. It's the one that I'm usually running charity events for on the regular. We did it as a stream team, and we raised close to $9,000 as a team, and this was in the early days too. So it's not only just a networking tool for each other, sharing communities and giving people an extra place to send their community after they're done their stream, but it's also something that we can join together and seek out common goals, like a charity event. And I'm in the middle of the early stages of planning another one, hopefully this summer, where it's going to involve the entire team again too. So it's been nice. It's been nice. It's been nice and low key, and it's a very low pressure team.
Yeah, that's great. And you said there's maybe around 10 people you've added since you started, but how many total people are on the team
Right now, I haven't looked at the
roughly?
exact number. I would guess like 35 to 40, probably.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tops, maybe
Yeah.
even less. I don't know.
Now that you've started a team, you run one and manage it, what would you say is probably some of the most surprising things about starting a stream team of your own, or the most unexpected thing?
I don't know if it's unexpected, but I thought it was kind of powerful that like the last time I added a few people to the stream team, a lot of them didn't know each other because they were like people that I met kind of like in the early days of DBD. So naturally, like the Lego guys or the Battlefront people, like they might not have known them, but how they trusted my decision to add them to the team and went out of their way to go into their streams and drop a follow, introduce themselves, and then oftentimes even raid out to them after they got to know each other. So I thought that was really cool that I could add uh, a couple people into the team, and how the team automatically embraced them, welcomed them in, took time out of their day to go meet them because they believed and had faith in me that I would only pick somebody who would be a good person, a good content creator, and would be worth meeting. So I thought, I don't know, it's nothing that shocked me, but it was definitely like a powerful moment for me as the person who gathered the group together. Yeah, and I always, by the way, it's always weird to hear like like running the team, or like the leader of the team.
Yeah, yeah.
People notice, I totally get it, but like I always feel like that because we're so chill. Like the only time I'm like running or leading is like maybe planning the charity, like a charity event or something. But people that are around my channel know like my verbiage is usually, oh hey, like Ruthless Night Sister just rated me. We're a part of the same stream team, because that's my mentality. It's just chill, it's friends. I'm a member, everybody's a member, nobody's leading anything. Yeah, I might be the person that invites a couple people in or decide to run a charity event or whatever, but other than that, we're just all in it together having a good time.
In addition to the charity event, do you have any other plans for the team? Or are there any other things that you as a team would want to do?
Honestly, I haven't really thought about doing anything past that. Like I said, I didn't want it to become a stressor for me or for the people in it. And I made a
Right.
pledge to the people who joined my team that it was not going to be a stream team that was going to like constantly be like, "Hey, we have this event coming up and we're going to do this," or like bring in a ton of new people and be like, "This is what we're doing now." I promised myself and I promised everybody that joined that I was going to keep it super chill. It's more of a networking tool to keep everybody in kind of like a hub together. And yeah, I would say no, honestly, I just want to have a really successful charity stream this summer, and that's where my focus is. But if somebody had an idea or something came on my lap, like I'm a very open-minded person, so if an idea popped up or somebody presented me something for the team that made sense, I would definitely consider it. But right now, I think I just like to raise money for the kids with the team again and keep being chill, like honestly.
Yeah. Keep it
So
easy, right?
yeah, man.
You noted Dr. Disrespect as an early inspiration for your stream.
Mhm.
Now that you've been at it for a while, has your sources of inspiration changed? Are there other creators that you look to when thinking about how to improve or evolve your own content?
Yeah, of course. I still, I've taken the cues from Doc, and but now I'm streaming a different type of game. Anybody imagine Doctor Disrespect playing Dead by Daylight? He'd uninstall it in a minute,
Yeah,
and break his keyboard while at it. But
absolutely.
uh, Yeah, of course. My sources of inspiration come from other areas now. Now that I'm in DBD, it's also what I like watching when I'm on Twitch. Usually if I'm doing something and I have to throw one stream on in the background, I'll probably throw on a DBD stream. And if I had to pick some names of streamers that where I get some level of inspiration is definitely a powerful word, but at least some notes or things that I know I can adjust and do better. Um, some of the bigger streamers in DBD, like Ots Darva, who's a killer main, always has a wholesome, positive mindset. Is very humble when he loses. He's arguably one of the best killer mains on the world, in the world. So how he loses with grace and humidity. He's just like a humble dude. And I noticed, like, I'm like, well, I know that I'm not the most cracked DVD player out there. I'm very like new on the scene, and I've only been playing it for like two so years, like on and off. So I'm like, if I'm getting frustrated over losing a game, but here's a guy with 10,000 hours in it, like taking the L, and he's staying wholesome and warm most of the time. I was like, okay, I can adapt some of that. Like, I kind of notating in my head, hey, next time it doesn't go your way, or you get completely crapped on by a survivor team that has more experience than you, like let it go. Like GG next. Like that's what we always
Right.
say, GG next mentality. Good game. Let's get to the next one. Because the next one's usually better. They usually don't all stay bad. So yeah, like I take cues from people like that. And there's another big streamer, Skirms, who's like a survivor main on the other side of the coin, with kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? If he gets kind of crapped on by a killer or whatever, he doesn't take it to heart, just kind of keeps the positive vibes going and keeps it quirky and fun. And I definitely take notes. I'm like, okay, yeah, I could, instead of being down about a bad situation in game where you might have to, like, in DBD, you can, like, the game gets stalled, or maybe you're slugged on the ground. Slugging is like called, like, you're just knocked on the ground and the killer's not doing anything with you. And you just got to sit there. Rather than always looking at that as like some, like, the worst thing to, like, try to talk to chat about something else, or like bring up other stuff. So of course I still look at other people for, like I said, I don't know if inspiration is the right word, but definitely notations on how to improve my demeanor on stream.
What would you say has been one of your biggest overall struggles or challenges doing this whole content creation thing?
Hmm. For me, I would say tackling the stuff off of Twitch, which means like YouTube, TikTok. Like I recognize those areas as my blind sides, or if you want, my weak points, if you will.
Hmm.
Having areas set up off of Twitch that can guide viewership or new eyeballs into the stream, that don't just come from raids or from the recommended category. And I actually said something the other day, and I think it's a good example. Having a Twitch stream, and only a Twitch stream, is the equivalent of like having a brick and mortar store,
Hmm.
and you open up a new store, and the only way people know about it is you walk up to the front door and you flip the close sign to open, and you just stand there and wait all day.
Yep.
Sure, somebody might walk down the street and peek in your window. They might keep, and then they keep walking. Okay, they peeked in. They said, they don't have anything for me," and they keep going. Okay, that happens hundreds of times to everybody's stream.
Uh-huh.
Every time you're live, you don't know how many. Like, Twitch shows you how many people came in and probably ducked out unless they dropped a follow or introduced themselves. So that happens all the time. Sure, somebody might peek in. They go, "Oh, that looks interesting." They might walk in the door. They might be there for the day and then not come back. But at least they came in and said hi and everything. That happens too. And then possibly somebody comes in, they love what you have, they buy something, and they become a regular, and they keep coming back, and they like what they see, they like what's going on. But if that is the only thing you're doing, if you don't have a billboard, if you don't have online advertising, if you're not on social media, if you're not posting, about your business, no business on this planet would ever stay open from that business model. So I realize that, yet I still struggle with doing those other things that I know I need to be doing. And this year is the year that that I said I was going to teach myself video editing, and I'm currently in the process of doing that. I have a library of YouTube videos. I've already downloaded the video editing software, and I'm learning, and I'm self teaching myself. So it's gonna be a grind. It's definitely something. It's like I'm taking a part time class right now, but I'm doing what I can to try to solidify those areas. But yeah, I think that's a great metaphor though. That you have a storefront, and when you go live on Twitch, you're just flipping the sign to open. You can't rely on just that if you want to grow. Some people, they don't want to put the work in, they're just streaming as a hobby, that's fine. But as a full-time content creator, you need to have other platforms where people can discover you when you're not live. Like the thought of somebody dropping a follow on my Twitch stream while I'm sleeping because they saw a YouTube video, that sounds like the most amazing thing in the world. So now I want to go out and I want to make it happen. So
Yeah.
it's about the grind now to do that.
It sounds like you're teaching yourself video production and you're working on videos. Are there any other things that you're trying to do to kind of help your content creation that goes beyond Twitch? Are there other things you're focusing on as well?
Yeah, I think in hand with the video editing, not just YouTube, but like I've also been doing a little soul searching. I'm like, well, if I did a YouTube channel, like I don't know if I'd want to do something over DBD. You know what I mean? Like Dead by Day. Like I have so many other interests. So I think part of it is also like, do I want to expand my content past Twitch where it maybe extends to other areas that could be completely not even related to gaming? So
Right.
just kind of in the early brainstorming days of that, and also talking to some other mutual content creators about doing some other stuff off stream, and just kind of seeing where that goes. So this year, I guess it's about what can I be doing off stream that can then maybe help bolster a little bit onto the stream itself. But just have things that are on its own outside, I think, is something else too.
Tell me about being full time and what that was like to finally draw that line and say I'm going to be a full-time content creator. How did we get there and what led to that decision?
That wasn't an easy one, and that was one that I kicked around for a while. I always said that if I went full time and I was gonna, at least for the most part, rely financially on the stream, that I would have to already be doing so. That was the rule I made for myself. If I ever was gonna do it, it had to already be happening. So there were months leading up to before I announced that I could have just done it full time, and I just wanted to make sure that there was some consistency. Of course, there's some down months. Twitch is a fickle beast. Uh, if I could equate it to something, it's kind of, some months it feels like it's like back when I was bartending. Like, of course, some shifts you walk out with 150 in your pocket, and then on a good night it could be $850 in your pocket. And you don't know. Sometimes it's like you don't know what kind of day, week, month you're gonna have. And I had to see some level of consistency before I would make the leap. I never ever wanted to be in a situation where I went full time with streaming and put the pressure and the burden on my community to make ends meet. And that always turned me off because I watched streamers do that before. I've seen it happen firsthand as a viewer in the stream. And it is very off putting. And I've seen, talk about switching games,
Oh
ruining
yeah.
somebody's channel. I've seen the pressure of being full time too early, like chase people off the platform because they maybe financially get themselves so behind, and then they have to get a job and have to leave it behind because they have to work to probably make up for the months that they tried prematurely. So and it's also, who wants to be in a stream where the whole time the streamer is just kind of saying like, oh, we need to hit this goal or I can't like pay rent, right? Like I've seen that, like that's hard to watch. Like I'm just
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
honest, like that is hard to watch a grown person like stare at a camera and be like, if you guys don't help me hit this sub goal or this dollar amount, I can't pay my rent this month. And it's like people are on, like, you got to understand, people are on this platform to get entertainment. Like life can be really hard. Life is difficult a lot of the time when you're an adult, especially nowadays. And people are coming on Twitch to escape. I firmly believe that they're going there for a little bit of escapism. They want to come relax with friends, the streamer, other people in the community, and they just want to vibe and have a good time. And if you start to lose the vibe, you start to lose the entertainment, and it just begins to feel like a constant shakedown. And then also adding the guilt of it. Hey guys, I'm full time, and I can't keep doing this. If like I don't know, man. Like so, I just never ever wanted to do it too early where that was the case. So
Right.
I waited until it was consistent enough that I knew it could sustain at least for a while, and then I did it, and I said I was going to see where it would take me, and for now it's been working out. So hopefully it keeps going. I know Twitch, like I said, is up and down. So all I know is right now it's working, and we're just gonna keep doing what's working.
How has it been for you since you went full time in terms of looking at your content and how you approach it? Has that changed at all since you've gone full time?
Honestly, I mean, to be honest, no.
Yeah.
I'm still the same person. I'm presenting the same content. There was no hard gear shift to do something vastly different than what I was already doing. So yeah, and once again, that's not out of any like spite of change or anything. It was just, I had an announcement to the community. Hey guys, I'm going full time. This is going to be where I'm investing most of my time and energy. I remember there was a couple of people who asked, they thought full time meant like I'd be streaming every day. And I was like, no, no, no. That means like the investment off the stream is going to be higher. And I'm going to be putting more into what we're doing here as a whole. And that includes like event streams and possible 24 hours and the charity events as consistently as we're doing them, which takes a lot of planning and it takes a lot out of me too, constantly like managing all these things. I could not be doing all these things and working a full-time job. I mean, I could stream and have a full-time job, but it would be far less. There couldn't be like all these events. I'd probably have to cut out the charity events or just do them like a couple times a year. And then let alone teaching myself video editing and working on the other platforms too. So that's what full time meant to me. It was coming out to my community, letting them know this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm investing in, and I'm going to be working on a bunch of stuff with along with the stream.
It was more about the work that was going into it off stream or off camera rather than spending more time in front of the camera.
Right, and just to say right now, very few streamers gain benefit from streaming every day or streaming 16 hours a day rather than 5. Sure, maybe you have a higher chance of maybe getting a raid, which by the way, don't yeah, like that's can't rely on that either for growth and stuff. But yeah, I just think it's unhealthy to just stream, 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 stream. I don't know if I've ever seen a streamer just stream all the time and do nothing else and have success.
Right.
So there's a multitude of things that happen when the camera is off that goes into what makes the stream work and what makes a safe, fun community. And that's constantly being engaged with your mod team, working offline with other content creators, planning, collabs, charity events, 24 hours, all that stuff. So,
Yeah. All
yeah.
the planning, all the back end stuff that most people don't think
Mhm.
about or see while they're working or watching us do our work as creators.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's some of the most exhausting stuff is the stuff off camera. How I
absolutely.
look at it. It's kind of like back when I was acting. Like when I was on set or on stage, that was the fun. Like that didn't feel like work. That was the fun. The hard part was all the preparation off stage, off screen. It was memorization, working with your scene partners and the director. It was all like that was the work. And there's beauty in the work too. Don't get me wrong,
Oh
but
yeah.
that was the work. And then when I was on stage or in front of the camera, that was when I was alive. That's when I was having fun. That's when I was like enjoying every single moment. And I'm like that with streaming too. It's the one answering 10 to 15 Discord messages, you know what I mean? When I
Oh yeah.
wake up, some days, depending on what's going on, staying in constant communication with people. That's all fine. Like I said, I find the beauty in that too, but it's draining sometimes. Like it's very, very draining. So when the camera goes on and it's time to game and interact with chat, that's the fun part to me. That's not the work. If
Yeah.
you're looking at streaming, like I need to stream 16 hours, it's my job. Like I don't know, man. It's not for me. Streaming is the fun
No.
part. That's the shit off camera that is the work for me.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. This is a unique situation in that I can ask you roughly, now that you've been doing this full time for a bit, what does that breakup of time look like for you? Like, how much time is on camera? How much time is like planning an event or planning special streams? How much time is talking to your mods and folks that help you plan your content over time? I know there's no hard numbers here, but I
yeah.
would love to get your, like, maybe even percentages of, like, this is how much time I spend in a week on camera versus planning versus whatever.
Going back to the business example, but it is like running your own small business. I'm always working. As far as I'm concerned, if a mod reaches out or a streamer reaches out or a company, a sponsorship deal, all of that, like I do that all day. Like you know what I mean. Like as long as my phone is turned on, there's the potential to get sucked into a couple hours of random work.
Right,
Like I'm doing a sponsorship stream on January 31st for Dying Light's 1 year anniversary. That came to me at like I think it was 11:30 at night last night, and it was like something that I had to respond to and commit to as soon as possible.
right.
So for the next hour, I was researching what the campaign requirements were, reaching out back to them, and then after reading over all the documents and what I would have to do, come signing the agreement and booking it. So and that lasted till 1 a.m. So it's like a ratio. I don't know if I can like say like what the ratio is, but yeah,
Sure.
there's more hours in on the back end than hours I'm live on Twitch. But
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned though, yeah, I'm always available all day. That's part of being full time now. You know, if I wasn't a full time streamer, man, I would turn like how some people come home from work and they're like, that's it. I don't like, no, I don't want anything work. I'm in my sanctuary. You kind of give that up a little bit because you have to be willing to be available at all times in case there's stuff like that. So
Yeah.
definitely a higher ratio behind the camera than in front by a large margin.
Were there any surprises for you when it came to, like, going full time? Were there things that you were like, "Oh, I didn't expect to do this, that, or so much of a certain thing since you started focusing on content creation as your main thing?"
Nothing too big, and I think part of the reason for that though is that I was already in the full-time streamer mentality and already successfully doing it before I announced it. You know, remember I said like I wanted to have it going already before I committed to it. So I feel like I was ready. So nothing caught me off guard, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
I did enough preparation and set myself up for success in that sense where I was already ready for the leap.
What would you tell someone who's thinking about going full time and they've not quite pulled the trigger on it, but they're thinking about doing so?
Other than what I just said that I did, which I think could work for anybody, don't commit to going full time unless you're already doing it. Be ready. Like, it's not like, oh, okay, I think that I can maybe live my life doing only this. We're almost at the cusp of that. So, in a push for that, I'm going to announce it, and then hopefully my community can make up the difference or bolster me. Don't do that. Be there already. Do the work. Get there already. Be there for a few months at least. And if it continues to be okay, take the leap. See what happens. Worst case, it ends up not working out. You get a part time job, you switch off full time.
Mhm.
Like, and you live once. Yeah, I don't want to be on my deathbed wondering what could have been. Like I've lived my whole life like that. Like even with acting and stuff, it was like I would rather give it a stab and have fun doing the things that I enjoy than taking like a day job that I can't stand and doing that the rest of my life. So yeah, I'm all for people taking leaps. I'm not going to be the person that says, "Oh, be sensible enough." But don't, but take the leap when it is apparent that you can do so, and you're not going to strain your community and overextend them. Don't do that. So just put the work in. Maybe be sustaining it for a few months, and then announce it and see what happens.
I think that's the right balance of practicality against taking those risks, right? Because I think you need a little bit of both to make that leap as a full-time creator, whether it be a streamer or just YouTube and all that, making sure that you're thinking about both sides of it. So well said on that remark. Uh you mentioned acting. I think a lot of us who've watched you or been involved, we know a little bit about the acting, but what's the history of acting for you? What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, I moved to New York in my early 20s, and yeah, that was definitely something that I was going to school for and interested in, and took a leap of faith on that. And I remember I always wanted to move to LA, and I never did because after graduating, I landed an agent, and I was like booking work here and there. So I was like, if I'm working here, why would I take the leap? Because a lot of actors don't even book a single job. I had friends that graduated and then they kind of let it go after a few months. It's moved away and started families or whatever. But I was semi working, so I was like, okay, there's traction here. And I was enjoying other stuff though. That's the thing. Like I was always working and like I was saying earlier, like working my way up in the bar industry and stuff. So I enjoyed that work too. So I was just living my life, and I always kind of treated it like a passion, a hobby, whatever you want to call it. Some people might go golfing or bowling. My inspiration was my art, or whether it was acting or writing. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to do a few small roles here and there on some stuff, and got to be on off Broadway comedy shows and improv troops, and book commercial work, and even my last month in New York, which was December of not this past year but the year before I moved. I booked a speaking role on it's a show called Food That Built America, which was a show that I had already been watching. But I remember after COVID, I only auditioned for two things, and I booked that one, and that was one of the biggest roles that I had booked ever. And I think a lot of it has to do with that. I think my life experience, and then also being older, age wise with casting, which was nice because I looked really young in my 20s. Like I looked like I was a tough cookie to book for roles. So I was like kind of eager to get into my 30s and see what kind of opportunities would arise. So my last month in New York, I booked something incredible. So I want to get back into it, and I'm planning a move in April, and I'm eyeing up, moving to the West Coast and seeing what that has to offer, possibly. Nothing set in stone yet. So yeah, that's always been something that's been a big part of my life, and where I'm at now, that's not a part of my life, and I'm feeling that itch that I was talking about earlier during COVID. That's coming back now.
Yeah.
I get a lot of fulfillment from Twitch. My Twitch channel and my community on Twitch is probably the greatest thing I've ever done in my life, and I don't say that lightly. So, I'm not going to go anywhere on Twitch, but I want to be doing something along with it. And because I was getting really hot traction with acting, just a year ago, I kind of want to keep it going. So as like a side hobby, because it's what I enjoy doing. Like I even just enjoy the art of auditioning. Even if I don't get the role, I still enjoy doing stuff like that. So yeah, getting back into the swing of things for that this year too, alongside all the stuff I want to do with my channel on Twitch. I would say those were like the two big things for sure.
How has that whole acting side affected the way you approach streaming?
A lot, tremendously. I think not just the acting, by the way, but the bartending too. I always relate streaming to bartending, and if I could just speak to that, it's
Yeah.
kind of similar in the sense that like I'm in my space, just as if you walked into a bar and I was the bartender, and you can sit down. You might just have a beer and go, but if the bartender's good and they're personable and there's somebody you want to kind of vibe with, and the people that are at the bar already vibing with that bartender who are enjoying that environment, they want to stay too. And I was always like that behind the bar. I was very inclusive of people. If somebody came in constantly and they were starting to become a regular, I would introduce them to the people who were regulars that I was friends with. I'm still lifelong friends with people that I met through bartending in New York. They're some of my best friends who I'm still friends with, will be friends with my whole life. And that's through being personable and being the person that I am. And I feel like I took those qualities and just brought them to my Twitch stream. People come into the space, they might be new, but hey, chat, say hi. Like, who's your mains in DVD? Like, let's talk about. I want to get a little bit of knowledge about who you are,
Yeah.
and then oh wow, you main this character. Oh, so does this person. And because I want people to formulate connections, like I said earlier in this stream, that's what it's always been about for me, is the connections. So I want people to connect. I want my stream team members to connect. I want community members to connect. And of course, above all else, I want to connect with the community. So bartending taught me that a lot. And then acting from a different angle taught me how to be in front of the camera, project confidence, have a little bit of energy, know that people are watching you and that there's an entertainment aspect to it. To turn, like I was saying, turning that dial up and knowing how hard to turn it up, and what's too much, what's too little. Acting's definitely helped with that stuff. So when you combine like the hospitality industry side of it, as far as being hospitable to people and forming real connections and trying to have people feel welcome and know that they belong, and then you also couple it in with like acting as far as like the technical side, like having enjoyment in the production quality, doing stuff like my background here, and like having an eye and a flair for like wanting to do something different and bring out my creativity. You mesh them together, that's my channel. So
Yeah.
literally my entire background you can pick out in my stream.
I love that. I love how you did point out how every aspect of your previous time, not just acting, like you said, bartending, doing
Mhm.
every little thing you've done has taught you something about what you apply to content creation. I would guess you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't change anything
No.
leading up to this the content creation time of your life.
No, I'm not somebody who looks like, even if something bad happens or something doesn't work out. I've learned in life that you probably learned some kind of lesson or something that you can change. And so I have a hard time looking at things and be like, I want to do that differently. Like, it's life. You don't get a rewind button. So it happened. What can I take from this? Not every single situation necessarily has a silver lining to it. There's some people out there, there's bad people, or some situations happen. It's just a bad situation. But through all that, you can grow as an individual and as a person, or as a content creator, if it is something that has to do with the platform, and learn from that experience. So no, there's nothing that I have done that has been like a huge regret, honestly. If it was in terms of just Twitch, honestly, the only thing that I would say that is something that I learned from by being too regretful is, it's the internet. So, maybe sometimes putting a little too much faith or trust in people too early. I've learned to kind of keep my circle tight and drama free as much as possible. And yeah, I would just say, once again, it's something where you can just learn from each particular situation and just grow as a person, as a content creator, and move forward with that.
Where do you hope to see your Twitch community go in the next couple years? What are you hoping to build to?
Like I said, I'm not huge on metrics, but it would be nice to, we've been growing little by little in DBD. Like I said, the transition, that's always a hard thing to do. I was very fortunate. I left Battlefront. When I left Battlefront, I was kind of near like a 70, 80 average, I would say. And when I started in DBD, I was about a 35 to 45 average. And now we're, regularly hovering around where we were in Battlefront when I left that now. So,
Awesome.
being in that kind of that area feels pretty nice, that I have a lot of the same people in the community. We have all of, seeing long time resubs come in, and people that have been supporting me and the channel and the community for this long, and then mixing that in with new people who are there for the new content. That's been awesome. And I think in the next year, I just want to keep that going, and just keep it growing, and see where it goes. I don't have any like hard number ideas, for anything, but it would be nice to maybe get to that point, a notch above what I was even at in Battlefront. Meaning, like, it would be nice to maybe be at a solid organic 100-ish viewers maybe by the end of the year, or something like that. And I think if I do enough stuff off stream, and continue doing what we're doing in the category, that is like a totally achievable goal. And to piggyback off that same principle, so another word of advice I give people who are just starting out streaming is set obtainable goals. So somebody might be rolling their eyes like, oh, he's at it 80, 85 average now, and his goal by the end of the year is to be at 100. Well, yeah, having 15 extra concurrent viewers is a fucking big deal. That doesn't happen quickly. That's something that you gotta work towards. There's no flash in the pan for that. Like, I don't like I'm not talking about with raids or running giveaways every stream. Like, pure authentic people who want to be in the stream and are there for you and your content and your community. Like quality people, with no shortcuts. That's the hardest type of growth on the platform. People find shortcuts all the time on how to juice their numbers. Some people straight up view bot themselves. That's something that happens too. I've worked hard for this, and I've formed connections with people the whole time. I just want to keep doing that and see where it goes. And I hope that if I keep doing it what I believe to be the right way, that I will get to what my goal is by the end of this year if I continue to do it the way that I've been doing it.
We've run the gamut of things that we could talk about, even though I know there's more things I could ask you. What I would love to do before we wrap up is just thank you for your time. Being a content creator, I know how valuable it is. So thank you for taking a little time out of your day with me, Chronic. It has been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and learn a little bit more about who you are and what you do. So thank you for joining me for this, and I really do appreciate it. Means a lot.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time. This was awesome.
I never like to close out the episode for the folks that are listening, so I put that on the guest because I'm lazy like that, I guess. So I'm going to give you your final words. You get the final words. You get the final thoughts. It can be whatever you want to say to
Oh
close out
God.
this episode for those that are watching this currently, but more importantly, those that catch this maybe even later, whether it be on a podcast or on YouTube. Any final thoughts that you have, feel free to share. It's all yours.
I guess real quick, I'll plug that I am actually doing a collab with Amish Ace this Friday night. So me and him will be playing a horror game together. I'll probably regret that for some reason or another. But no, if I have to say just one last thing to everybody, and this kind of goes into what we were just saying a moment ago, which was about pursuing what you want to pursue in life. I'm all about taking risks for your happiness and for what you want to do. So anybody who is out there that's listening, and it might not even be streaming, maybe you're thinking about a job change or a career change altogether, or taking a leap. Like I might be taking a leap, moving cross country, possibly. Life's too short to want to end up on your deathbed wondering what if. I would just say for anybody out there who wants to give streaming a shot or any of those other things, believe in yourself, and sometimes risks are worth taking. And what happened with me on Twitch and the amazing beautiful community and the friendships that I made, I'm gonna get emotional talking about it. This is the best thing I've ever done with my life, and it was all on a risk. Like I just rolled the dice on it, and magic happened. So give it a freaking shot. Whatever it is you're thinking about doing, do it. Or as Palpatine would say, jets.